Are you afraid to let go? So, earlier today, I had a conversation with somebody, and we have a past, we have a history. I'm sure that anybody who really knows me probably knows who I'm talking about. But we've kind of sort of become, I wouldn't say friends. We don't hang out because, there's just some things you just don't do with certain people. But at the same time, he'll call me up and he'll share things with me. He'll share his struggles. And today, when he was talking to me, he's like, I know, I've been seeing someone for a while. And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, how's it going? And he's like, I'm terrified. Like, she's everything that I thought I could ever possibly have. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, you found your manic pixie dream girl that I couldn't be for you. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, the one you thought didn't exist. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, she's either who she says she is, or time will tell. But why are you so afraid? And I did some digging, of course, because that's what I do. I'm a coach, so I've learned how to ask questions. And with our history, I also have a lot of insights. And we've gotten to this place now, I think, because of we have a mutual goal to heal our kids, obviously, and to break cycles. I've recognized we're both cycle breakers. We both had a history of trauma in our families, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's my children's father. So we've gotten to this point now, even with all of the stuff that I went through, where I can just be honest with him. I can be like, well, look, I tried to be your manic pixie dream girl, and I couldn't because that's not who I was. And you tried to be my manic pixie dream boy, and you couldn't because that's not who you were. But if this one is it, what are you so afraid of? And he's like, well, I'm afraid that if I have to let her go, it's going to hurt. And I would do it. And I'm like, interesting. Because I noticed that there were two patterns, and I have the same patterns. I think we all do. Where if somebody is leaving to take care of themselves, or maybe they're just not reaching out right away, maybe they have to go work on themselves, maybe they need to take some time out. I see this even with my friends, where in the past, before I really started to set my boundaries, I'd be like, look, I need some time and space for myself, which I now recognize I do, because as a reflector, I literally sample energy, which means that it can be really, really draining if I'm sampling other people's energy all the time. I need to have my space. So I would set a boundary and people would be like, oh, you don't want to be my friend. And I'm like, that's not true. I do want to be your friend, and I do care about you, and I also need to take care of me. And I was made to feel bad and wrong about that. And then I was also told, well, if you don't do as I say, I'll take away love. And I was afraid because I thought that love was something that was outside of myself, which it's not. Now it's like my mom can go off and do her thing now, and I still know that my mommy loves me. Whereas when I was a little girl, my mom would do her own thing and take care of stuff, and I'd be like, my mom doesn't love me. And I had the same conversation with my ex. It's like, look, I know you think that, like, because of the way that we grew up and everything, that, like, being away from the kids is hard. I get it. A divorced dad who can't see his kids all the time, that's probably really, really hard. At the same time, he also really enjoys his freedom, as I knew he would. And I enjoy my freedom when I've got my kid free time. And there's a part of me that used to feel guilty about that. And I'm like, I'm not going to feel guilty about enjoying my freedom. Because I had wanted a break for so long, and I'd been made to feel bad and wrong about wanting a break. And now I'm like, you know what? Everybody deserves to be able to have some space. Everybody deserves to have that time to just reclaim who they are. I mean, if we're always just focusing on other people and not on ourselves, how are we ever going to get time to know ourselves and know what we really want and know what our capacity is on any given day? So I told him, it's like, look, you deserve to have a life, and you deserve to have someone in your life who loves you as much as this. Like, if this is it, I'm happy for you, and I'm going to tell you right now that if this is it, I get it. And he's like, I don't even know why I'm calling you, of all people. I mean, you're my ex, and I probably shouldn't talk to you about this stuff. I'm like, I'm probably the one person who knows you at least well enough to be completely honest with you. And this is where I think there's, like, the point of letting go isn't to cut people out of your life completely. I mean, there's some that you do have to put that distance with, and there's others that maybe they just take a different role. I mean, I am perfectly happy to take the role on as someone who had insight into a pattern for another human being who I happen to share children with. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we are still tied together. Even after these kids grow up, they're going to have kids of their own. There's going to be birthday parties with grandkids. I mean, if I can get along with him and his partner, and he can get along with me and mine, that sounds a lot more harmonious for our kids and our grandkids. And, like, it just makes more sense to do it that way. So yeah, you don't actually want people that you have to let go of to suffer. That's the wrong energy. Even if they hurt you, you don't want them to suffer. And I said in another video before that, like, at the end, I wasn't like, ha ha ha, you go and suffer now. I mean, there was a tiny, tiny, tiny little part of me, the wounded teenager that wanted revenge for all the injustice. But at the same time, that part doesn't rule me. I let that part be like, okay, yeah, I can see where you can feel a little bit of resentment, but you don't really want that, do you? You just want to acknowledge your pain. So I'm going to acknowledge the pain, and then we're going to let it go. So now when I'm talking to him, it's like, look, yeah, you hurt me. The part of you that was really wounded hurt me. And you're not that person anymore, and you're doing better for the kids, and, like, you're healing. So of course I want him, if this is it for him, if he's found her, I'm standing for that. I'm clapping for that. And if it's not, it's at least a healthier dynamic, and he's going to learn some lessons that are going to help him, and he's going to move forward. He's not going to fall back in those old patterns, and the kids aren't going to get harmed in the process. And I want him to have everything. And I want to be able to cheer him on. So the thing, though, about letting go is that one of two things will happen if you let go. If you truly let somebody be free, it's that old saying, if you love somebody, set them free, and if they come back, they're yours. It's true. I mean, I had to let go of a lot last year. In fact, this is like the anniversary of, like, last year when I had let something go that was incredibly painful to do, and I knew it was the right thing. Because I knew that by doing it in the way that I did, that it was going to wake them up to the reality and have them make a choice. And then they would either recognize that the choice that they made wasn't right for them, and they would course correct. And eventually they would come back because it's true. Or I would let them go, and I would move on, and I'd find something that was actually aligned for me. Now, I have a very, very strong intuition, and it took a while for me to get to that point. Because I also recognize, like, No, this one checks off every single box off the list. However, I need one more little confirmation on their side. And I got it. I didn't get it on this day last year. But a few weeks later, suddenly everything fell into place. And since that point, a lot more fell into place. So I got my chance. And I showed up, and I gave it my all, so that when they had to leave the next time, I let them, because I knew they would be back, because I trust in it. And the thing is, I could easily bang on the door, but there's a point where you don't bang on the door anymore. And it's not that you don't want to bang on the door, because you do, but you also know that maybe they need a little bit of time and space to get things ready. And banging on that door might scare them again. And you don't want to do that. And besides, banging on the door puts a lot of pressure on somebody, and if they're not fully ready, then they might feel like they need to say something or do something that they're not ready to say or do. And when you truly love someone, you're willing to wait. You're willing to let them make the first move. So in the case of certain people that I love and I know who love me, I know that when they're ready, they will open that door again. They will reach out, and we'll just pick up where we left off. And for a certain person who has my glass slipper in their hand and has seen my fire, picking up where we left off could be quite entertaining. It could be a lot of fun. But, again, they've got to be ready. And then other people that I closed the door on around the same time, well, that door has been left open for them in other areas. I didn't close all the doors, but I did set some very strong boundaries of what I would and would not accept anymore. I won't play into a wounding pattern that everybody else seems to be playing into, because no, it's harmful. I'm a cycle breaker. So I'm prepared to be the villain in somebody else's narrative if it means that they're going to live into their higher version of themselves, because I know they can be better than that. It's what I did with my ex. I was the villain in his story for a very long time. He vilified me, and I let him. I let him think the worst of me. I let him think that I was trying to take the kids from him and manipulate, and all the same time, I was holding that boundary and making sure that I knew he could be better. You know how I knew? Because I know how much he loves his kids, and I remember the person who said, I don't want to be that kind of parent. I want to do right by my kids. And I knew that that person was in there. Now, maybe romantically, we weren't compatible and everything, but we still have kids. And I will not vilify their father. I will point out a pattern that is harmful, but I will not vilify their father. And you know what? You don't have to vilify anybody that you have to let go of. If you recognize that they're just not where you need them to be at, you need to hold that boundary, then do it. There was a friend that I've loved for a very, very long time. She's one of my best friends. I remember her fondly from childhood, and right now, she's clearly going through something. Because when I reached out to her, she kind of lashed out, and there was no reason to lash out at me. But because I don't take anything personally anymore, because I recognize we are all going through stuff, I'm like, hey, it doesn't sound like the person, like, did I get the wrong number? It's like, no, this is she. And I'm like, well, I hope you're feeling okay. Because, wow, it sounds like you had a really rough day. I love you. And then I let it go. And, that's what you really need to do. You need to recognize that we're all on different paths. A lot of stuff has come up this last month. With Mercury retrograde, yeah, if there was some communication errors, or if you felt like somebody was kind of attacking you, but deep in your heart that they're not that person and they're just hurting, which we all are, by the way. Even somebody who wants to be a jerk, and I'd say a different word, but I'm feeling like being a lady today, so I'm not going to say it. But somebody who's mean and cruel and will step on the world is somebody who's deeply hurt and afraid of losing face, because they are validated externally, not internally. They can't find the love in themselves. That's why. So, let people go. Let people live their lives. The ones who are meant for you, who truly love you, will come back. The ones who are using you, of course, well, you find that out and you let them go with love and put up your boundaries, and you just don't entertain that energy. But the ones who do love you and just need to focus on themselves, they will appreciate it. If somebody came up to me and said, no, you have to spend time with me now. Like, even my kids do this, and I'm like, hey, I get it. Mom's not going anywhere. Mom just needs to rest. But I'm not going anywhere. My love is still with you. It's still there. And right now, I have to take care of me, because my shadow will come out, sweetheart. If I don't take care of myself, there are parts of me that could hurt, and I don't want that to happen. And it's like my daughter accidentally bit my face last night. She was being playful and she bit my face. Now, when you look at that from the standpoint of animals, that is an attack. So my animal instinct would have been to fight back. And I was able, because of my emotional regulation, to be like, whoa, okay, you have to get off this bed now. You need to give me some space now. And she went further and she put herself in the corner. And I'm like, you don't have to go in the corner. You're not bad and wrong, but you did something that has triggered something, and I need to regulate. I need to calm down. I need to remember that you didn't try to attack me. I needed to let her go. If I had clung to her wounding and emotions while I was still triggered, it would not have worked. So I let her go and put herself in the corner, even though I thought that wasn't exactly optimal. And I talked to her about that after. It's like, you don't have to put yourself in the corner. But she was upset. And I don't even put my daughter in the corner, so I don't know where she got that from. She's been doing that since she was a baby. She was upset. I let her be upset. I let her have her feelings. I worked on mine. And then afterwards we cuddled up and watched Gilmore Girls. So again, if I can do that with my kids, if I can recognize when I need to give them distance and let that be okay. If every kid learned that if mom or dad needs to take space and they're not bad and wrong and the love is still there, and it's actually because we don't want to resort to what we do when we're triggered, how much better off would our kids be? And how much more okay would they be with having space from people And they wouldn't cling to friends that are hurting them, and they wouldn't cling to partners that hurt them, and they wouldn't cling to jobs that take advantage of them, and they would be like, you know what, something else is going to come along. How much better would our kids be? How much better would we be if we recognize we don't have to cling to that client because another one's going to come along? We don't have to cling to that partnership because another one's going to take its place. We don't have to cling to that romantic partner because, hey, if it's truly meant to be, that will reveal itself. You won't be able to let go. No matter how much you try, it won't work. And you'll both feel it. And when you let go of the outcome of having to have something right now and be like, it's coming. Having that audacity to know it's coming. It's already here. Energetically, it's already here. I can feel it. And now, we're just waiting for the physical part to show up. But, it's coming. And maybe there's one or two more things that I need to do, or there's something else that needs to come through first before it really clicks in that something needs to change. So, we're going into September. There's another really awesome shift that's going to happen because, I've been tracking those. And I'm excited. I'm so excited for what's coming. And I've let go of attachment to everything. Whenever something goes wrong, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Something better's coming then. I have absolutely zero attachment. It's the most free I've ever been in my life, and I used to be somebody who was highly anxious and having to control absolutely everything. Now I don't have to. Now, I don't go through life without plans and scenarios and possibilities. And at the same time, I'm always focused on the best possibility. Always. So, what I told my ex when he's like, well, I'd be afraid to let I'm afraid because I would actually let her go and do her thing. And I'd be okay with it because I want her to have everything. I'm like, well then, if that's it, guess what? You'll still have her come back. She'll still come back. One thing I didn't share is the part that I wanted to tell him. But of course, we only had so much time because he was on a break for work when he called in this bit of a dilemma. And I'm like, you've had this fear of letting go. Even when you know that something's not for you, even when you know that you've exhausted every option and it's just not right, you still don't let go. And you either push it away, but you're still clinging back. And I'm like, just look at the patterns. And I pointed out every single pattern, including the ones at the end of our relationship when it was very, very obvious, the Taylor Swift song, we are never getting back together. And we're not good for each other. And look what we've already done to each other. Look what we've done to our kids. And even with all that logic, he was still trying to do it. So I'm going to leave with one more thing, because you're probably wondering how the heck can you have these open conversations with your ex after everything? Well, it's simple. We do need to have reverence for our exes. We don't have to hang out with them all the time, and I do not hang out with my ex. In fact, when he comes and gets the kids, he picks them up and he takes them out. And sometimes if there's a family thing, sometimes we'll do that together. But most of the time, no, we're not hanging out by ourselves. We're not friends. The only way that really works is when you've let go of all attachment and all hurt and all anger. And when you have let go of the need to have them suffer for hurting you, when you also have no more romantic feelings, when you recognize that the relationship was meant to serve a purpose and the purpose has been served and everything is as it is. If you have kids together, you also have to recognize that you can't be playing competition. I don't do the who do you love me more, mommy or daddy thing. In fact, it's my weekend and my ex is like, can I take our son out fishing? And I'm like, yes. You want to do some alone time with your son to bond without his sister driving him crazy? Absolutely. The kid needs it. Go for it. But you got to talk to him. Because I'm okay with it. You just have to talk to him. Because he has to be okay with it. Because he's got autonomy now. He's 11. He gets to decide how he wants to spend his time. So, again, there can't be any animosity. When you bring somebody back into your life in a different capacity, there can't be any animosity. You have to be wanting the best for each other. And honestly, if you've got kids together, you can either hate each other's guts and keep perpetuating the cycles, or you can let go of the anger, you can recognize the lesson, you can appreciate what it gave you, and you can also be willing to show those patterns when the other person is healed. I mean, I didn't start out thinking, oh, I could be friends with him. No. I also was watching to see where he was in his healing. If he was still angry at me and unwilling to listen to anything I had to say and trying to undermine my parenting, he wasn't there yet. But they get there, as long as you keep your side clean. So that's my little bit of wisdom as a single mom to other single moms out there. If you are still hating your ex and you're not able to let go and he isn't healed, it's okay to set boundaries with him if he isn't healed. But if he's actually trying to heal and he's not trying to get you back, and you'll know the difference, then there will be a point where you can have peace. So don't think it's always going to be like this. Nothing's always going to be the same. Everything changes day to day. If you think that everything is always going to be the same and it's always going to be a no and you're never going to get what you want, well, guess what? You're just clinging. You're clinging to the idea and you're probably grasping at whatever you think you can get, as opposed to recognizing the possibility. And when I let go last year, a possibility opened up. And it was magnificent. And since I've let go again to let things fall as they may, I know that there's even more possibility. Because instead of being the chaser, well, I would love to have my true love just out of the blue, just send me a message. I've got my Instagram open. I've got my Facebook open. Heck, he's got my number. I gave it to him. If he can dig it out of his inbox, he'll find it. Other people have it. Certain people. I don't give my number out to everyone though, but it's there. And I mean, it's like, hey, I just met you and this is crazy and here's my number, so call me maybe. We could start over and also pick up right where we left off, and it would be great. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's like if a friend reaches out to me after years and years, I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you? Not, oh, I haven't heard from you in years, like, what do you want? It's like, oh my gosh, how are you? What's new? Oh, well, this cool thing happened. We just pick up. Every time. And I mean, the purpose of my Carly Bonderud Uncensored is also because I've recognized I don't have the energy to connect with everybody I want to connect with in any given month. Sometimes it can be months, might even be years before I connect with them again. But if they need my light, it's there now. So if they really need me, of course, if I have the capacity, I will help. And at the same time, well, my light's out there for free now on my channel. And it's open to everybody. It's even open to my family members that I had to close the door on. You know, in case they can't see it on Instagram or Facebook. And other certain family members who do see my channels on Instagram and Facebook who haven't been blocked, and they wanted to relay the message that I do have a channel on YouTube where I have spoken in a way that certain family members might know, that there's no anger there, that they can come in at any time, but they just have to do it at a higher level. And there can't be any more of what was going on before, because I won't be treated like that. But that the love is still there. You know, just in case somebody might be watching later who has been possibly relaying messages. I mean, I know certain people, and I know messages get where they need to go. And I know that when one has a digital presence, one uses it responsibly, but they do it in a way that's completely authentic without any attachment to outcome. And at the same time, imparting the love, imparting the wisdom. And when people are ready, they can come back. Because the door to my heart doesn't close. And I let go with love. Always, I let go with love. I don't let go from a place of anger. I let go with love. And I trust that those who love me will come back. Because I'm freaking awesome. I'm freaking awesome, and I stand for those I love. And I sometimes say things that might be uncomfortable, but I say them from a place of knowing that they can be better. And I can see their greatness, and I can see their potential. And I can see when they're lying to themselves. I can see when something's not serving someone. I can see it pretty well because I am a reflector after all. So I can probably see a lot more even in patterns and in society, and I can see how people got to that point. I can see why it's hard to let go. I can see why it's scary to be alone. But you know what? When you're truly alone with yourself, you're not actually alone. You actually find yourself. And then you can lay in your bed for 3 days in a row, just meditating and not have it be scary, and go into those shadows and not have it be scary. Because you have so much immense love for yourself that you know you're 100% safe, even in that space. And then you can be safe for others. All right, but I am getting a little bit cold out here, and I need to get back inside for the kids. And that's what I wanted to share with you on the 828 gateway, as we are out of Mercury retrograde and in the shadow retrograde and stepping out of that. into more clarity. Go forth into your relationships, knowing that what's meant for you will find you. Knowing that if you reach out to someone and they truly love you, they will welcome you back with open arms. Know that you are much stronger than your fears. And that when you let fear stop you, you actually stop yourself from living the most extraordinary life of freedom that you could ever ask for. And I mean, yeah, sometimes I still feel a little bit of fear, and I work through it because I know it's not real anymore. And I know the possibilities on the other side. And I promise you, you'll get there. But if you do need a little bit of help, I recently did something for a friend of mine. I mean, his giveaway is technically over, so I felt that it was okay to open this up now that his giveaway is done. You don't have to put in your name and email. You just go to my bio and you check out my link tree, and there is a Phoenix method. And I will be putting that in soon, but right now it's empoweringmomsbirth.com/Phoenix. And you can go and get my little workbook that helps you release your fear and transform into your most empowered self, your most highest potential, rising up from the ashes and being reborn. Because it's coming up to the seasons of transformation and rebirth. And this is how I do it. And if you want my magic, I put it out there. Because of course I did. I'm not holding anything back. The only thing I charge for now is my time. All right. I love you. This will be available on YouTube later. So anybody who isn't currently on my Instagram, and I have unfriended a lot of people that were misusing my account, well, my YouTube's open now, so they can get it there. You know, in case you happen to know somebody as a family member and you want to impart that message, I give you permission to do that. Go ahead. It's there for them. Okay? Promise. Love's not gone away. It's just shifted a little because I have to protect my energy. And I'm important enough that I know I need to do that. Because I got to show up strong for my kids. And I got to show up strong for the world. And I've got to show up strong for my true love and for myself, most importantly. And you need to do the same. All right. Bye.